Welcome to the IPM Podcast Series. Today we're talking about agencies, integrated marketing, and why the traditional agency model is being challenged. Joining me today are IPM members Stuart Hilton and Rob White, founders of the ZEAL Group, a business built on connecting consumers, shoppers and brands in a far more joined up way. Lovely to see you both. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, Emma.
Great to see you, Emma.
Great. So look, we have got loads to get through today, absolutely loads. So let's just start at the beginning and we'll dive straight in. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the ZEAL Group and where it started and what's brought you to where you are today?
So Rob and I have worked together for, I think we've 28 years. Previously joined the same agency in the 90s, became a bit of a dynamic duo, loved the agency, built the agency, ran the agency for someone else. And then we were given the chance to do a management buyout of that agency. And we geared up to do that, to take the business that we love to the next level. And then, as often happens in these situations, one thing led to another. It didn't quite work out. But by that point, we'd already made the decision that we knew we wanted to build an agency full of energy, passion and enthusiasm, which is what ZEAL means. In fact, it means energy, passion and enthusiasm in pursuit of an objective.
I love that.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, it's been very good to us, the name.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest briefs we ever had.
It was. It's harder than naming your children, really, isn't it? It was one of those things where we'd spoken to people who we'd worked with before, and we were trying to find a name for the agency, and everyone said that the thing that ties you two together is this energy that you've got, this kind of like passion for the industry that you're in. And luckily, Stuart found this word, which is ZEAL, which means passion, energy, enthusiasm, and that really has been the bedrock for everything that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those fortuitous things. We thought we were going down one path. It ended up being something much more exciting.
Yeah.
We got to build it from the ground up and build into it everything that we thought would be fantastic, and move away from things that weren't quite, I don't think, delivering for clients as well as we do now. And we've learned and evolved. We're 12 years old now, which just sounds bonkers to be. I still remember our first coming to the IPM Awards. We'd be hoping for a bronze. And, we're 12 years in now, and it's just a completely different business than what we started. We've got some fantastic people within it that just keep building it and taking it to the next level. But it's always been at its core, how do we do amazing work for clients? I think we've got a little bit of a challenge on the industry in that, not in our particular industry, I suppose, the marketing industry in general. We're a bit fed up of bland brands doing meh marketing that just doesn't cut through. And I think from our background of being in promotional marketing, which has always been about creating engagements, we've had a much more brilliant platform to start really allowing brands to connect and activate shoppers and to do it all as a seamless whole, if you like. And we enjoy it.
We love it. Absolutely.
What do you think then were those kind of challenges or more traditional methods within kind of the marketing agency landscape that you thought, no, we want to do things a bit differently?
I don't know about doing things differently. I think probably the best thing is to think about the core ingredients for ZEAL and the things that we believe are critical to making the agency successful. And Stuart talked earlier about people. It is all about the people that we bring into the agency. We have a very simple test when you come in, which is you've got to have ZEAL. You've got to have ZEAL for life. You've got to have ZEAL for the profession and really want to do your best work. And we've really benefited from bringing lots of people in who have ZEAL, trying to provide a clear mission in terms of the work that we're trying to do. Like Stuart said, try and create great work that speaks for itself. And then we kind of get out of their way. And we've been really fortunate that the more people we've brought in, what that's done is, unlike lots of agencies that go through periods of growth, rather than that start to dilute the culture, we found it started to concentrate it even more, actually. And as a result of that, bringing brilliant people in who've got loads of ZEAL, they have started to help us to evolve the agency and take us in a, I wouldn't necessarily say a new direction, but take us in a direction which has been really relevant for clients and the work that we do for them. Stuart talks about the fact that we're an industry that produces work that most people will pay money to avoid. If you think about like the Netflix model, and so for us, it's really important that actually, as platforms start to change, as people's media habits start to change, we feel as though the world's come to us a little bit. And that grounding, again, it's important we talk about the experience we had in the early days with promotional marketing. That grounding of really understanding what would capture people's attention, what would engage people and get them to do stuff. That's become increasingly important. And then if you layer on top of it the way that the world is moving towards retail media, people watching television less. We feel a little bit like the world's coming to us, don't we?
100%. And I think it is. It's back to those days, all we've ever done is try and create engagements. When I first got into this business, I loved it because you got to do the marketing stuff. And then on the Monday, you would get a telephone call from the handling house, from Julie Selby, telling us how many ovals from tissue boxes had been sent in the post. I mean, literally like tens of thousands, and you knew it was going to be a success. So I've always loved the fact we've been in a business that is about generating engagement and interaction. Yeah. So when you've done 30 years of sort of understanding what works and what doesn't, in an industry that's now moving, I suppose, a little bit away from broadcasting at people and being more about doing things with people, we've had a pretty solid grounding in what works, what people lean into, what they're not interested in. And I think that helps. I think the other thing that's helped us at ZEAL, we often talk about, we call it ZEAL EQ, but the trilogy, the fact that we understand those engagements that brands, emotional engagements that brands want to make with their audiences. But also we understand shopper triggers and action triggers. How do you get people to do what you want? It's one thing to have them care about something, but how do you get them to change their behaviour? And then the final piece of our jigsaw, which I think works really well for us, is a forensic understanding of retail channels. So, because if you can't make it work there, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work on the ground. So I think what we've tried to do at the ZEAL group now is pull together a cast of characters that on behalf of clients can really tune into those areas. Most clients will come to us with their big agency of record that's got have a break, have a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
And we will do lots of other stuff that actually connects people to it, and using the Formula One partnership and experiential and all the different tools we've got in our armoury to create those engagements and to change people's action. So it's probably never been as exciting as it is now. It feels like everything we've done has been sort of to train us, if you like, for where the industry's going now.
No, I think that's really exciting, to be honest. And I think, I do want to touch on as well some of the key projects and stuff that you've worked on over the last 12 years that have brought you to kind of where you are now. But I think the key thing is, as well, is touching on what you've just said there, Stuart, is about there seems to be, to me, in the industry, that there is this almost belief system that consumers want to believe in something as well as purchase it. And what you're saying in terms of how that then changes agencies and how they deliver work, and it being completely integrated, and it all boils down to those key moments, whether it's driven through a likewise brand partnership or whether it's through experiential. But are you seeing that kind of on the ground, that there is that element of wanting almost a sense of community around, purchasing decisions and things like that?
We're big believers in brands. We're passionate about brands and what they bring to the world. They simplify your life. They provide choices, make choices easier for you. They help you navigate your life when you're overseas. We're passionate about brands, and I think brands have got a part to play with consumers. The trouble is, too often that is just what that brand wants to say rather than the engagement it can create. So I think that it's nice to see now more priority being given to how you actually interact with brands and bring utility, bring value into those consumers' minds. I mean, Rob's worked probably more closer than me with the brands that we've worked on. Has that been something you've seen? Is that something our brands are wanting to do?
The basic principles of brand building remain the same. We're big believers in the Byron Sharp, Ehrenberg, Bass Institute theory around mental and physical availability, and making sure that you build both of those. I think one of the challenges in terms of mental availability, there's definitely been an evolution about how we can engage more with consumers in a way that fits with them and is of interest to them. They're a lot more prepared than ever before to buy from a repertoire of brands. And at the same time, in the categories that we operate in, the retailers have developed their own brands as well, which has further challenged kind of the branded houses. So you've almost got kind of two sets of headwinds really that you're having to deal with. And I think back to the work that we've done about engaging with people, and as Stuart said, really understanding the retail environment and shopper triggers, it's enabled us to develop campaigns which are more well suited to that environment and the changes that have happened.
And kind of don't have to go all the way back to, over a decade ago. Let's talk a little bit about some of the campaigns that have really...
Is this where you test us?
Tell us about some of the campaigns that's really excited you over the past few years. Now, obviously, I'm going to speak on behalf of the IPM and talk about some of the campaigns that have been entered into the awards and won at the awards. The Tenner campaign, Wheatbox Park. There's some of those that absolutely blew me away in terms of...
And they blew us away. Because, as Rob said, we could no longer sit in the pilot seat of the aircraft that we've built. The people that we have, strategic-wise, creative-wise, they're just on a different level to what... we used to do aisle fins and on-pack promotions, The team that we've put together, they're capable of so much more. It's interesting you mentioned the Tenner one.
Yeah.
So... it's personally interesting for me because my first ever piece of work in this industry was writing copy for Depend incontinence pads.
Really?
So that was back in the blue chip days. It's remarkable that our most award-winning campaign we've ever done is for Tenner. Yeah. And on a different league to the copy I was writing. The campaign there of taking on something that's so much stigma attached to it. But guys don't want to talk about this, but they need to do. And trying to unlock dialogues and conversations that need to be had but weren't being had. And to do it in a way that the retailers would let us do things in store about it. Just hats off to the guys. I mean, and I keep seeing the picture of our client sort of clutching his 5 IPM awards from that one night. It was fantastic. And the awards were great, but the reality is that campaign has done so much for not just the brand, but for a lot of people who probably were introduced to Tenner and it's solving a problem for them that it wasn't before. So, but I think for the symmetry of that and just for what it achieved, I think Tenner's probably got to be my number one and incontinence product.
It's such a difficult question when people ask you for your favourite campaigns because it's like asking who's your favourite child. And for me I think the thing that we've always been really proud of is over the years is delivering campaigns that have been effective and done what we needed to do for clients, whether that's the campaigns early on that we were doing with Kellogg's where, Stuart was saying before, you're getting really high response rates and you get the sales data through and you see that it's really having an impact, through to, some of the more recent work, whether that's for Lurpak or Lucozade or, Kit Kat. One of the things that's been levelled at us actually is that sometimes our teams care more than some of the clients do about their own brands, and when you get the results and you see that it's had a really big impact, we're helping to increase penetration, to drive sales more, to really help the brands engage with shoppers and consumers. That's something you're really, really proud of. And then you almost get that extra verification through the awards that you win.
We've always been lucky with the clients as well. I mean, Rob talks about them. We're genuinely welcomed in as a team. We've always had long-term relations. I mean, some of the people we've worked with, Rob's worked in their business like 20 years ago. But whether it's luck or whether we've chosen the right clients or been invited into the room by the right clients, we've got people with brilliant brands who care passionately about what they want to do, who respect what we do, who invariably have great ad agencies and media agencies to work with. I mean, we're right in the middle of some brilliant teams solving some great problems, of how do you bring Formula One to life for Kit Kat? What an exciting brief that, day that was when that brief came into the agency, and some of the stuff we've done over the years with Pringles, and like you say, with brands like Lurpak and Anchor. These are brands that we grew up with, and now we're doing things. You go into any supermarket, I think that we've got something in every aisle. It's immensely. I mean, I'm boring for my kids and for me. For my missus.
You don't want to go around the supermarket with us.
Yeah. If we're not taking pictures and getting thrown out, although you don't seem to get thrown out these days. Do you?
No.
You used to get thrown out for taking pictures. Now they think you're amplifying it through social media. You get away with it.
Yeah, you're influencing a product sale. That's it. And are you finding though that more and more of the clients that you're working with are coming to you either to solve more problems or to provide them with more ideas? Is that then what has led you as a business to then start acquiring other businesses in other areas?
Yeah, I think, as Stuart said, we've been really lucky with the client partners that we've had. And what we've been able to do over a 12 and a half year period is build up trust with them. And because of the fact that you're continually working on campaigns, you're continually trying to deliver and do the best for them, and do it with a huge amount of zeal, they really trust your judgment, and it means that you get to interact with them on a regular basis. And so I suppose as we look, we sit down with the board and we look at the clients and the challenges that they're facing. We could see that there's some very clear gaps that we weren't able to fill in terms of what they needed for their brands, so to help them succeed. So I suppose it's really been a process, hasn't it, of identifying where are the gaps where we don't currently have expertise, but we know that if we can bring people in who've got zeal and expertise in what they do, that it's really going to help our client partners to win and to do great work. So that's been
we've been led by the strategy, really. So for each brand, as the briefs have changed, it's become less of, we want an on-pack or we want this. It has been more about, a good idea can come from anywhere. That actually is true now, and I think our clients embrace it. And so yes, we've in a position where you look at the brief and what you're trying to achieve, and as wonderful as we are on the pack, in the store and around the store, the true narrative for that campaign to bring it to life has to start earlier than that. So we've launched Joe Public as a shopper PR agency. I don't think there is another one that exists, purely to help seed in the message for the retailers that ultimately you're going to sell to. We're finding that a very easy door to push on, because clients have got PR agencies, but they don't have ones that do this.
Yes.
So that's a natural fit for us. The Tommy acquisition, who are a social-first content creation studio, just ticks that box for us of how do you, who are the right influencers to use? How do you generate content that's actually going to get, consumed and enjoyed and bring it there? And then internally, we've had talented people within our business who built an experiential division, because they're a huge part of what we do, and a collabs team that's all about brand partnerships. So we've had I think we're, as a total group, we're about 160 people now. Some of it's been put together by acquisition, where we've spotted a gap and we've thought the best way and the fastest way to get where we need to be best in class is with an acquisition here. And we've found great opportunities, largely through our relationship with our chairman, Ian Milner, who knows everybody in the industry and brings some great opportunities. But then in other things, it's been people within our ranks who've built out divisions. The collabs team is built by a guy called Mike McDonnell, who was great at doing partnerships and approached us and said, I think there's a business here. Yeah. And they'll probably do £1 million this year, as a result of just being really good at putting brands and partnerships together. That's, the stuff we've done on Weetabix with the All-Stars and the Box Park that started the first one. It's down to Mike and his team. And the experiential's a natural fit for us because our MD in London, Tim Solano, our MD for growth, he's from an experiential background and he understands that. And we've got a brilliant guy called Ben who just on the ground is just the guy you would want in the field for you. So the DNA through all of this is zeal. It's all great ideas are coming, but from brilliant people. I mean, Rachel, who runs our runs our business from an operational point of view. Tim and Rachel serve jointly. How well we are run now as a result of what those guys have done. The dashboards we have for everything. That great blend of analysis, but equally instinct and decision making when it's needed. And they've put together a great. We've got a great board. We've sort of grown up really. We don't get to come up with ideas so much these days unless we get a chance. But that's probably a good thing.
No, but it seems to me as if kind of the growth of ZEAL and the acquisitions that you've had have ensured that you're geared up for kind of the world that we live in today, really, particularly when you're talking about FMCG type products. We talk about brand partnerships and the F1 and the Kit Kat thing. I spoke previously on another interview that I did about the growth around Formula One and how female audience in Formula One's grown and gone through the roof because of the Drive to Survive series that came on Netflix. So for brands to be able to get involved with that, and then looking at a social media content first and how consumer buyer decisions are actually in large part these days dictated by who we're following on social media. I know a lot of my buyer decisions are anyway. But it seems to me that you've taken a very active approach to be geared up in a way that fits with the way that the world's going. But do you also think as well, we talk about data and insight. Do you find any sort of challenges within the day-to-day with the actual rate of pace in which things are moving and the way that things are changing? Is the data able to keep up with that sort of pace of change?
I mean, I don't think we struggle with the pace. We're an incredibly ambitious business, and I think with the growth ambitions that we have, then we need to move quickly, don't we? And so the team are all equally, if not more ambitious than us, really. And I think what that does is it enables us to be, as well as proactive, very agile in terms of how we develop things. Stuart talked about the partnerships division that we've developed, and that was really from the germ of an idea, something that was created exceptionally quickly and now is being executed. So I think as any agency grows, you need that ability to be able to quickly react, but also to be agile in terms of how you execute any new ideas. And in terms of data, and we're probably going to talk about AI and how we're
wrong of us not to touch on it.
How we're integrating that. I think that's it's the thing that I think we've benefited from is the partnership that Stuart and I have. One of the things that Stuart's always looking at is what's next. And so he's always got his eye just over the horizon. And that gives us the ability, whereas if perhaps my focus has been a little bit more on the day-to-day operations, he's always almost had this nagging, Rob, what are we going to do about this? And I think that's helped us as a company actually to always be, as well as kind of focusing on great execution, to always be looking on the horizon and saying, actually, what's the next thing that we're going to have to integrate into the agency? Who's the best person in the UK or the world who we can speak to and learn from? And how can we make it happen quickly? And then he keeps the pressure on. And I think that's the thing that's enabled us to evolve.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think data's an interesting area because it's so complex, but we've created the position of head of effectiveness, a lady called Kim in our business who is obsessive about data and also where that overlaps with AI. So we've created something called the energy index, which allows, it's almost like System 1's version of a TV ad, but this is more for the type of engagements and interactions we do. And what we're finding is it's a real great door opener with clients because they want us to show them where they rank on the energy index. So we're constantly trying to look for where in our specific field can we bring some utility for our clients. Because there's a million and one different things that you could do with AI, for instance, and data. But everybody's got a different angle from it, and I think we all sort of we've got a duty to look into our specific world, what is missing, and how do we build it. So that's a really exciting journey for us to be on, because it does throw everything up. I don't think it's about how you save a few pence. We've got as many clients instructing us legally not to use AI as we have wanting us to really lean in. So I think we're all on a journey together. We're trying to do it responsibly. We're trying to plug it in where it can bring, great insights into the strat team that they wouldn't have before. Thought starters for creative, but not the real, craft, if you like, that clients depend on you for. But yeah, it's always something new.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen over the time. But I suppose what's been great as independent specialists at what we do, it's our passion point. And therefore, every time, it's like chucking a juggler a new ball.
Yeah.
We just need to learn how to,
isn't it?
what you do.
We like it. We like it. Keeps us fresh.
Yeah, and I think we're good at spotting the ones that, that's an anvil that's going to drag you down versus that's a real, that's going to lift us up.
It's a balloon that's going to lift you up.
Yeah,
I love your
balloon. I like
analogies.
that. Yeah, good lad.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's just touch on AI briefly, because you can spend hours and hours talking about it. But for me personally, in the conversations that I've had, you can come at AI probably from 3 different angles: how you're using it in your business to make it more efficient, how you're utilising it to streamline in terms of actual delivery of campaigns, and then how is a consumer utilising it themselves in terms of a buyer decision, or how are they becoming sceptical about the use of AI as well?
I mean, we're using it across every team, I would say, and each department. And I think the job that Stu and I have is to make sure that we provide the right level of investment and support for all of the teams to be able to integrate it into their day-to-day activities. I think you talked about efficiency. It's something that we are, the objective for all of the teams is to ensure that they can use whatever are the relevant AI tools and software to help to make them more effective, most importantly, and also to make them more efficient and more agile at what they do. It's definitely not about saving money. I don't think we've ever looked at any of the teams and looked at how we can contract. It's about how we continue to accelerate growth. That's the most important thing.
I think from our point of view, we knew we'd need some help right from the start. So very early, we got what we believe was a best-in-class consultant to come in, audit what we were doing, and help us build out an action plan for the types of things that we needed. So straight away, we made sure everything was enterprise level so that our clients are protected in terms of any data. It's all in the ZEAL walled garden. And that's really useful for us, and especially for Rob and I personally, because our walled garden does go back sort of 28 years. So we've got an awful lot of knowledge, if you like, that can sit in the ZEAL operating system. But in a discreet and confidential way. We then trained the team on how to use it and when not to use it, how to use it, did all the housekeeping regards policies, making sure that everybody knew what you are and aren't allowed to do with it. Luckily, most of when you get into the creative side, Adobe and people like that are just building it, into the tool. So you've got that combination of there's the stuff you need to bring in that wasn't there before, and then you've got all of the tools are just getting better, and the team are loving it. We've always thought that with creatives, they just love to experiment. So you don't have to tell them twice to try this new thing with a video, and I think the common factor is it doesn't take the place of any of that true craft and genius that differentiates you. What it does mean is that, right, now can you show it me 100 bottles on an FSDU? You can now click a button and it'll do that, rather than somebody having to painstakingly cut and paste and slide them all in. So I think it helps you to do that. So that's the sort of internal efficiency stuff. I think the bigger and more interesting things will be what, from your vantage point, what can you build that makes clients' lives easier, better, better campaigns that they don't have and they wouldn't get from your competitors. That's where the rubber meets the road on AI for agencies like us.
Yeah.
And I remember I go to every year we go to the Kingston Smith seminar where they reveal everybody's financial figures and you get to mark your own whether you're doing any good or not. And they always have an inspirational speaker, and I remember it being about AI, and because you worry as a still a relatively small agency whether you're behind the WPPs of this world, and they had a guy on from WPP talking. And he was saying, you certainly shouldn't feel downhearted, because although we, like you, are spotting the tools that need to go in, we've got to execute it off across a business with thousands of people. Whereas you, as tight independents, you can be quite agile. So I came away from that feeling actually enthused in that, okay, they've got millions of pounds that they're spending to work out what they should be doing. But a lot of that's about race to the bottom. I think there's real areas for us where we can find the things that just should exist in our business, and we can invent them. The energy index is our first thing, but there'll be more to follow.
Yeah. And I think our job is to, as I was saying before, to make sure that everybody's open-minded within the agency, that we encourage them to, as Stuart said, try new things, to try the different tools. As I said, to help us as an agency be more effective and efficient. So, yeah, we're really enjoying it so far.
Amazing. So, but from an IPM perspective, and I'm going to be a bit selfish here, and I want to talk about some of the traditional methods that are still used today. And let's hark back a little bit to promotion and how promotions are utilised. And promotions have always been around. They're a tried and tested method for quick to market, behavioural change method. But they're also, as well, a method that people revert to, particularly during times of tough economic hardship, when you're trying to attract and retain consumers. How do you see promotions continuing to kind of claim its stake within the marketing mix and where do you see it going forward?
I see promotions have always been right at that cutting edge of the things we've talked about today, creating a deep engagement. So that doesn't mean what you as a brand want to say at someone. It's like, what can you do where somebody gets involved, scans a QR code, sends you something from a pack, gets involved with a charity that you're supporting. So I think it creates those deep engagements that you're looking for. And in a world of AI, I don't know of anything better for building out databases of people who love your product. Yep. And that you've got some information on. And when you combine it quite cleverly with the work of the retailers through the loyalty cards, there's an awful lot that it brings to us to allow our guys to do really connected campaigns that they've not done before. So I think now every campaign that we look at, it's almost like, what is the data strategy? We're about to have 500,000 people send us their details and permission to contact them again. What are we doing with that? And that's a question that probably didn't get asked enough. A lot of that data probably went underutilised. Now I think the clients are much keener to work out how do they use it in a way that adds value for the consumers.
Yeah. They're just a brilliant way of providing news for a brand that helps, if you get it right, really helps to build brand equity. And then, as Stu says, that first party data source that is like oil for brands these days. It's fantastic. So for us, really important part of the mix.
Do you think it's still in part underestimated, the power of promotions across the industry?
Hopefully, because then that leaves it for us to do. I think certainly not with our clients. Yeah. I think it's become a smaller part of our whole, but still probably one of the biggest. It's just that we do so much else around it, and often stuff around the promotion. The seed of the idea, the engagement might still be a promotion. It's just that there's so much else going on now. The experiential that brings it to life in the shopping centres, the online integration of messaging there that just wasn't as thought through as it is now. But I think, a lot of our campaigns have still got a promotional element at the heart.
So we've spoken about AI, we've spoken about promotions, we've spoken about experiential. In your projects and the work that you do, there's a hell of a lot of stuff going on. How do you manage to maintain that consistency across all channels, particularly when you're executing these kind of high level, big impact campaigns?
Well, I think we can't take any credit for that.
Absolutely none at all.
We are going to have to
That's
throw
down
it right at our team for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got a lot of years in it, so we know we're not new to this. So as a business, you know, in promotions can be, that element can be a risky area. So it's good that clients see us as a really safe pair of hands. The robustness that sits behind all of the activities that we do, as I've said, driven probably by the likes of Rachel and Tim and all of their, you know, account leads. The guys really know their stuff. We know what works, what doesn't work, what's legal, what's not. What's going to take you down a blind alley, what's going to take you to the road to success. And it's just, there's no substitute for experience and quality. You know, we invest a lot in training, which I know is something that you probably want to talk about. We try and find brilliant people, and we give them the tools to do the job. And then after that, it genuinely, back to what we first talked about, it's the zeal that means that they really care about what they do. It literally, you know, we just done some work on proposition and things, and you're sort of tempted, because every client will tell us it's the people, but it's hard to put in a proposition that, because every agency sort of can say that. But we know from people who work with us, it sort of vibrates from our team.
Yeah.
They genuinely care about what they do. They're always trying to do things better. And I think that's what gives clients the satisfaction and the reassurance that these huge campaigns you're doing will all land on time when they're supposed to land, and the rest of it. And it's a walled garden for us, because it stops, as this area of engagements becomes more appealing to other wider agencies. It's a scary thought, I would have thought, going out with somebody for the first time that's not done this type of work before, you know, and therefore some of the great names that have been on tables with us at the IPM, you know, a lot of really great promotion agencies are probably all having great moments at the moment. Yeah,
it's back to trust, and the fact that the clients trust us, and that's something that you build over time, over a long period of time. And the team that we've got just have a level of meticulous planning and execution across every single facet of any campaign. And what that does is that, so as you come into the agency and you see that's the standard, and that's the level at which we expect everybody to perform. And so it's a self-selecting safety mechanism, really. It's one of those things that just everyone just has really, really high expectations of what they're going to do. And just back to that desire of not letting clients down and doing a really great job for them.
And it probably comes out from our values. So we made it easy. They spell ZEAL.
Yeah.
So Z is zeal. You don't get in as a team member or a client if you don't have passion, energy, enthusiasm, and care about what you do. So ZEAL. E is excellence. So we're all on personal missions to be the best in the world at what we can do, and always we're trying to support people to do that. A is audaciousness. So we want to be bold. We want to do things different. We've deliberately chosen a word that no one can spell. It's sort of bold just to do that. And then the L is laughter. Yeah. Because when we've talked about our personal journeys, laughter's been a power for all of that. In the darkest moments, it's been a laugh and a joke that's got us through. This is a fun industry to be in.
Brilliant.
You are doing amazing things that clients, they love it when you come in and you talk to them about ideas that, you know, they haven't quite thought of, but they could see how that would work with their brand. Consumers sort of vote with their feet and really hopefully enjoy what you put in front of them. It's a real fun thing. So yeah, we want people to enjoy it along the way. And that's probably another thing that powers how you create a team of people who care about what they do.
Let's talk about building that team and the team that you've built at ZEAL. How are you finding it attracting talent within the industry? What sort of skills is it you're looking for? You know, how are you navigating that?
There's lots of layers to answer that. I would say the first is when Stu talks about the values, we make sure that anybody who comes into the agency understands our values. We make sure they've got ZEAL. I always talk about the importance of two things really. One is a positive attitude, and the other is a great work ethic. And if you've got that, pretty much we can teach you to be great at the job. And what we found over time is that if we make sure we bring in the right people, or by making sure we brought in the right people early on in the process. Stuart's talked about people like Rachel, people like Lisa who joined us right at the start of our journey. People who believed in us when there were just two of us in a basement room in Manchester University next to a toilet with a dripping drain. They believed in us. They believed in the mission that we're on. They believed in our values, and that means that you've got really deep roots, and so that they understand that, and then when they bring people in, they really focus on the importance of that. And what we found is that group of people, then there's like this amplifier effect where they reject people who don't have zeal, who are not passionate about being brilliant at what they do, but they really firmly welcome people who do. And so it's been lovely to see over the years how, as the team has grown, Stu talked earlier about the avenues that they go down, the work that they produce. It just becomes something that has a life of its own. And I think it was that momentum. So it was like really focusing on it for the first few years has enabled us to create a team of people who bring brilliant momentum to it. And then the other thing that Stuart mentioned around training. So in a world where perhaps some agencies don't prioritise training perhaps as much, it's something that we try to lean into and recognise the importance of it on every single level. So from a financial investment point of view, from a focus to make sure that people have training programmes, to being together in a room. So in a world where lots of agencies, talked about being remote more, we've tried to keep people together as much as possible, because bringing young people into the industry, it's important that they learn a lot by osmosis. Yes. They learn a lot from the culture. They learn a lot about how to behave. They learn about the creative industry. They get a lot of the fun from actually being in a room with other like-minded people. So, as guardians of the agency, it's important that we try to maintain that. And as we look to the future and how agencies will evolve over time, we just see that being an incredibly important foundation.
Rob's got an immense part that he plays in this as well, which is whenever we do the budget, the first line he looks at is the training. How much are we training? And we literally just spent the last 3 weeks trying to find a way to benchmark what is best in class percentage of your GP to spend on training. We can't get to a figure. We are satisfied though that everybody we've spoken to sort of been taken aback when they find out how much we invest in it. Rob's really keen for pushing that. The other thing is reading. We read an awful lot. We're always trying to find new ideas to bring in. We'll go and meet people, things that look new and shiny. We'll meet them and talk about it. It might go nowhere, but it might trigger a thought starter. So I think that's important for us, and we try and push that message out when we put our guys through the diploma, and for any type of training. They're getting distinctions and Student of the Year, and there's no surprise, and it's year after year. It's fine. We find great people, and we give them the tools to do the job, and we get the fuck out of the way. I think is probably the biggest thing, and the team have got really good at finding new people. I remember reading Richard Branson's books, and he always talks about when you get up to 30 people, you split it, because that's about the limit where you start to get bad cultures. We just didn't, and therefore we braced ourselves when we got to 30. It was like, how are we going to do it? And it just kept going and going and going. And I think our staff turnover is 6%.
Wow.
Which in this industry, and that's from both sides, we are providing fulfilling long-term careers to people, hopefully finding the right people. We've got a brilliant lady called Natalie who does our recruitment. If you think we've got zeal, you need to meet Natalie. So she's the front door that makes sure we got the right people. We've got Ali, who's our head of HR director, head of people. we think we're about to get some good news on Time's Best Places to Work. We're in the campaign, Best Places to Work. So she's focused on that whole area of how do we provide fulfilling and sustainable careers to people. She's done great stuff bringing mental health into what we do through a package we got called Mind Up. So the things that people are personally passionate about, we try and let them run with that, because that's not, we're probably from the old school where it's like, what are you talking about? But actually, the guys that we've got now are much more capable of what does this business need next? And yeah, just constantly finding new people, bringing them in, training them well, and then motivating them and giving them a mission to go for, which is, we're trying to be the best agency in the world. Yeah. Our mission is to be the world's most recommended agency. It's been that from day one. So that's the one that everybody wants to work for and everybody wants to work with. And everything we do is driven by that message. We're setting goals at the minute now. It's great to be able to set goals where, look, the 3-year goal that we're running to is about being the world's #1 independent creative agency. That's where we see the ZEAL Group going. That's the ambition that we're going to set for our team, which we hope will bring them on the journey with us even further as we continue to go through.
You've touched on a bit there, but what do you really think the ingredients are to helping to drive that culture and that environment within your agency that will just ensure that everybody's working to that common goal?
I mean, the main ingredient is the right people. Find the right people and make sure that they've got shared values. When we started the business, the thing about Stu and I is we've got totally shared values about how we approach business, about how we approach dealing with people, and hopefully that's something that we have been really consistent with over a 12.5-year period. And that consistency is really important, and people will come in and perhaps question some of the judgments that we make, but we try and make the right decisions for the business, for the clients, and also for the people within ZEAL. And it's bring the right people in, bring in people who've got zeal, and they can achieve anything.
What does the future, not just talking about your agency, but talking about marketing agencies and the industry in general, what does the future look like for you, and what are the key things that you're focusing on in terms of growing as a business?
I mean, the work's at the heart of it. So continue every change we make is to try and do better work for our clients, because that's what keeps us in there. We could be as passionate and as enthusiastic as we want. At some point, procurement will ask, which of your 20 agencies that we seem to have acquired do you want to keep? Yeah. And they won't keep you because you're nice, or even that you've got their ambitions at heart. They'll keep you because you consistently show up doing brilliant work. And our job now has become, how do we create that ecosystem, if you like, to allow that work to get better? So that's new friends with the likes of Tommy and Joe Public, new divisions with Core Labs and the experiential team. We're looking at media next as a retail media player, because although there's a lot of retail media out there, is there someone who's truly sort of helping clients make independent decisions that are not, born out of a particular stakeholder? So I think it's about continuously trying to evolve. We feel the industry that we've always loved is coming to us more than ever before. In that, yes, we were always at the table. The big ad agency, the media agency, and us. We were always at that table. We're finding now more invitations to lead the brief, because it's actually about that engagement or these other things rather than just the global ad. And as I said, our mission in terms of what we do is we help fast-growing brands turn apathy into action. It's as simple as that. In a world where people don't really care about marketing, we find ways for the brands that we work with at the right moments for them to really make people care and make a difference and actually do something. And all of these extra tools, whether it's AI or experiential or whatever, just allow us to do more and more of that. And it does feel like the briefs are more like that, more exciting than create me a TV ad that works in 50 countries and therefore inspires no one. That's the thing that pisses us off. sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry. It is just like we grew up with brilliant marketing and brilliant advertising, you know, and there's fewer examples of it now. And when there are great examples, they're not necessarily ads. They're other things. And it's wonderful that what we do are some of those other things that connect people, that people do genuinely care about. It's great to be a part of it.
It's brilliant. We love it. It's such a great industry. It's, how can you not, you know, we're really privileged.
Yeah.
The ages we're at, particularly, you know, Stu being so much older than me, we love the fact that we're working on brilliant campaigns for exciting brands with a young, creative, talented team of people who've got zeal. And you know, our ambitions are to continue growing. I think our average growth rate over the last 5 years has been 25% a year. And we want to continue that. Yeah. And to do that, you need to continue bringing brilliant people in, be open-minded and ambitious, be really curious, invest in training, and you know, and keep being really clear with people what the mission is, which is to create a world-class company.
And try and be nice. I think that's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, when we come to the industry awards,
yeah,
what a fabulous room that is to be in. And there's so much warmth as you go across the tables and speak to everybody. You know, it feels like we're all batting for each other, and we get a chance to. Because we're winning other awards now, we get to go to other award schemes, and the one you put together is best in class.
Yeah, it really is.
From a room of people and an actual structure to the event. Yeah. So it's great to be amongst your peers there and learn. I like the whole judging process, you know, where we get to find out more. So just, enjoy it. It's a really nice industry to be in.
I think the great thing is what you've just said there, Stuart, and it's what I've noticed as well, kind of being a part of the IPM, is that whole essence of a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to be on board with that. And it's the thing that I love the most about the conversations that I have and the communities that we drive within the IPM. So it's really nice to hear that kind of sits in the mindset of what you guys are trying to do as well, and understand your role within the industry and growing as an agency. I mean, what sort of advice would you give to, you know, people looking to start an agency, and things that you've learned in your time with ZEAL?
Do it.
Just don't wait. Do not wait. Go for it. But go for it and give it absolutely everything that you've got. It's incredibly difficult to create a business and generate momentum from nowhere. So you just got to fully lean into it. My advice would be, if you're doing it, probably don't do it on your own. Despite, you know, a world of advice that talks about setting businesses up on as a leader on your own. I could never have done it without Stuart, and without the energy and the support that I get from him. And you know, he talked earlier about those moments of deep despair that you have. It's like a roller coaster the first year, and there's so many times I've been on the telephone to him, or been in the room with him with my head in my hands, just saying, "This like the world is about to end, Stu. There's a client who's not happy with something. There's been a problem." And he's always had the ability to make me laugh and kind of zoom out a little bit and realise that, you know, what we're doing is bloody good fun, and there's always a way out. There's always a solution to fix things. So yeah, I would definitely say find someone who's got similar values and do it with them.
Or a business. So setting one up isn't for everyone. We know that, because we know many really talented people who do fantastic things, but who doing what we did wouldn't be the right journey for them, just for their own choices. I would urge them, go and find something ambitious to be a part of, that makes you feel like you're a part of creating something, you know, that's really exciting. If you are brave enough to step out there and do it for yourself. To be fair, we had a bit of a long apprenticeship. Probably longer than most. You know, it was 20 odd years before we, actually having been pushed, I suppose, rather than anything else, we stepped out to do it. So, you know, we are friends with people who are younger and who've been much braver than we were, and we've seen them succeed, and that's amazing. But equally, it worked for us in the time of life when it did, when, you know, hopefully we were at the peak of our powers. That worked out really well. But it's not for everybody. But I think everybody needs to find the team to be a part of, where, you know, what you're doing. I always say this, we still do what are called founders lunches. So everyone who joins us, we take them out for lunch, and we talk to them about the values of the business, the mission of the business, what we've seen in them, why this doesn't work without them. And we always say, you know, the good thing about ZEAL is, you know, your individual effort is highly visible and highly important. And the bad thing about ZEAL is your individual effort, highly visible, highly important. There is no place to hide. You know, we're a tight ship of independent specialists, and you get a chance to really stretch your legs. And we try to back people in that. So if you can go for it, brilliant. Give us a ring. We're always up for advising and mentoring others in the same way people were. Ian, our chairman, that's how that started.
Brilliant.
You know,
ask for advice and support. It's really surprising that when you do that, how many other people who run businesses want to lean in and help and advise and provide mentorship. And you know, Stu said that's something that we would love to do with lots of people. And you'll find that lots of business leaders do that. Just got to ask.
Yeah, I remember. So before we started, we sort of thinking about doing it. We'd put together a plan. I got in touch with Ian Milner. Yeah. Founder and chairman of Iris, you know, probably the biggest independent agency that ever was in our sector, and then spread wider. And, you know, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you give me some of your time? Yeah, come down. I'll show you around. You know, he took me down. He showed me around the strategy team. He showed me around the creative team. I'm thinking, what an idiot. He's showing me how to do it. And then you realise, oh, wow, this is a different league. Yeah. You know, and just the learnings and the lessons that we've had along the way. We've always had mentors. I think that's a really important thing. But I don't think that's just if you are trying to start the business. I think if you want to play a senior value-adding role in the agency that you're in, find your mentors, and you will, as Rob says, you pick the phone up to anyone. If you're interested in genuinely bettering yourself and trying to improve, people will give you their time.
Yeah, they will.
Wonderful. Thank you ever so much for your time today. It's been fantastic. If you would like to know more about the IPM Podcast Series, head to the website ipm.org.uk.